Hey guys, welcome out to the shop. Today, as you can see, I have a new toy back here. This video is not going to be instructional in any way. It's going to be more like a playtime. I got a new birthday gift, this sandblasting cabinet from Harbor Freight. It is the floor model for the 50-pound. I didn't want to get a bench top because I wanted the capability to do stuff that was bigger and hold more material. So the build of this was pretty in-depth. As you can see, there are tons of screws. So I first started with the main cabinet and tried to build the top and the front and back. That's how it wants to be started out. And you know, the instructions don't really explain how everything goes together 100% clear, so you gotta adapt to it. I didn't put the adhesive, what do you call it, the weather stripping on the correct side, but I was able to make it work. I didn't have to peel it off. I was just able to flip the top around the other direction. And I read a lot of reviews before this on multiple sandblasting cabinets. This one seemed like it was the best one for what the price was. Obviously, it's from Harbor Freight, so you're gonna have some kind of challenges to deal with. And one of the main ones was the sealing of the cabinet. I read a lot of issues with dust coming out. So immediately I went to an auto parts store and bought some blue RTV sealer. So this is what it looks like, and as you can see in the photos, I just squirt this in all of the corners for the top. That is where the main problem seems to be, is right around this edge, the back edge, and the other side, the two top edges. The rest of it seemed like it had good sealing, but where this overlapped, it was 3 different layers, and only 2 layers were in contact with some of the weather stripping. So I squirt a bunch of blue, the silicone stuff in it, the gasket maker, and it seems like it's sealing up fairly well. The legs weren't too difficult to put on. Those were kind of straightforward, but I did learn that you do not want to tighten anything on here in the groups that it says that it's in. So when you do the top and the back and sides, you want to leave all of those completely loose until the final tightening where everything's already together. Then you can go through and tighten everything. Just make sure that you tighten them all. Over here for the door, that was a very simple assembly. It was just the 4 hinges on the back side kind of going along with doing like the front assembly. And, you know, nothing too difficult about that. One of the challenges I did find out is that I do not have long enough arms. Some of the times when you're trying to reach in here, you have to actually reach on the back side with a screwdriver and then one with a wrench. So sometimes it might be beneficial to get like a kid out there and help you hold that wrench on the inside of the cabinet or whatnot. But I was able to do it by myself, but some of it posed a challenge. Alright, so after the top and the legs were on, I went to this base assembly right here. This is where I encountered the biggest challenge, was this hopper part and this shelf area down here, because I did not have a separate way to support it. I guess I could have gotten some jack stands and done it that way, but as you can see from the photos, I just used my foot and held it up, and it went fairly quick. The shelf also was another challenge where I had to use my foot to hold one end because it was really flexing. This is just some thinner sheet metal, so if you tighten one side, it's going to flex on the other and just bend it. And I also found a couple spots on the actual cabinet that were bent, so I made sure I put the gasket seal around those. After all of this was completely assembled, it looked really good, really clean, and then I came up here to the glass piece. So you got 3 layers in here. You have this middle section where you can see this tape. That is actually able to be pulled off so that you can replace it, because it'll get all dingy and everything from the sand or whatever material you're using in there. Then there's an actual glass piece in there, and then a plexiglass piece or an acrylic piece in here. Then you have to assemble the frame. This is where I encountered some more challenges. Once again, with the reach of this, and also the base part right let me see if I can get this in the shot. See those back screws down there? I actually found it beneficial to put a wrench in there and leave it in there and then tighten up from the bottom. When you leave the wrench in there, you will actually tighten and the wrench will turn and hit the side of the cabinet and it'll just stay put. So that worked out well, but that was another issue that I found, is that was really, it took some out of the box thinking to get around that. You could have had somebody else hold it, but I just threw that wrench in there, let it hold itself up against the side of the cabinet. With this, I actually had to use the gloves that are in here. I would have to put the wrench in the glove and then use the glove to hold everything together. So it was kind of strange, but as you can tell from the photos, everything went fine. These two corner parts right here with these screws, they did not line up. So I actually had to take a drill and drill out the cabinet hole so that I could get the two screws in there. Everything else lined up except for those two, which was really weird. Okay, so now we've gotten the whole entire cabinet assembled. We've got the light in, and the light doesn't work. So I started looking at the light, and what I found was one of the pieces. Let me see if I can get... Alright, you see how there's that one tang right there? It's missing the other one on both of those pins. So when you're connecting it into the side, it doesn't want to stay steady, and you just can't work like that because it doesn't plug and fit. It just kind of wobbles in that little socket area. So as you can see, what I did, I ended up stripping it, pulled these off, and then using two wire nuts to hold everything together. So right here, I got a shop vac hose in here, and I've got it wrapped with painter's tape. I didn't use duct tape because I don't want to leave too much of a sticky residue on that. This would be really useful to get a 2-inch hose and pipe it into a shop vac and use it as a dedicated hose. So when I turned on the shop vac just to test out the suction of everything, it started pulling the gloves over to that corner, which means that this cabinet has a really, really good seal. I won't know for sure until I start blowing dust around in it, but it's sealed so much that I actually removed the vent cap on the back of it. I'm going to try to do something where I can actually make this slidable, or I guess that's what you call it, so that I can actually control how much vacuum the cabinet has. So if I feel like I'm not pulling enough vacuum, I can actually start closing this off and stuff like that. You could use tape or something, I guess, but I want to design something on the back of it to make this like almost like a dimmer, so like a blast gate kind of deal. I've never used a sandblasting cabinet. I have filled the cabinet with some blast material. I've got glass bead. That's what one of the guys at the store recommended because it doesn't penetrate or leave any kind of dents or dings in the material. From what I have researched, you are not supposed to be using play sand because it contains silica, and that is not good for you. So I decided not to go with that. There's a lot of videos out there that use play sand, and you know, if they want to use it, that's fine, but from my research, you aren't supposed to use it. So now what I have in here I want to play with today is one of my favorite hand planes. I haven't ever cleaned it up. I've just flattened it and I use it. So I want to try to see if I can clean up that base and see how well this goes. So now it's playtime. So I just pulled out the hand plane body. Here it is. I completely sandblasted the entire thing. The base of it I can clean up and then put on sandpaper to get it flattened out. But it got into places that usually I just can't get. It got anywhere all the threads are, got around these threads. It got all of the blue paint off completely. So now all I want to do is go over and get the air nozzle and just blow it all down real quick and clean it up that way. And then we can go ahead and tape it off and then get a coat of spray paint actually on the plane bed to just get it a new coat of paint and freshen it up. This worked amazingly well. I do have quite a bit of leakage still around the main frame here, but I think I can go in with some caulk and go around the side of it, or possibly take this off and try to get some weather stripping and put some weather stripping around it, or use that gasket seal, which I don't really want to do that because I have to be able to remove this to get that clear coat off. But other than that, I didn't have any leaks. I had one underneath, but I put the box of where my blasting material is, I put it underneath there, so it's just catching all that right now. I like it. Everybody complains about the light not being very bright inside, but I didn't really find it that difficult to look in there with it. That's where I'm at right now. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up this plane and get it all spray painted. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, seeing my new toy and seeing what it can do. I can't wait to do more things with it. I'll see you guys on the next video.